The dangerous money mindset that makes you rich forever. Think about the last time you felt that pull, that electric urgency, the deal that had to happen now, the investment you could not afford to miss, the shortcut that felt like destiny. You were not thinking, you were feeling, and feeling is how broke people make financial decisions. The dangerous mind does not feel its way to wealth, it engineers it. This is not motivation. Motivation is for people who still need someone to believe in them. This is architecture, cold, calculated, psychological architecture, the kind that builds wealth the way a general builds an empire, slowly, strategically, without mercy for weakness. If you are one of the few building power for life and not chasing temporary applause, subscribe now. This channel does not speak to the crowd. It speaks to the rare mind that thinks in decades while everyone around it thinks in days. Like this video if you understand that patience is not passive. Patience is the most aggressive strategy a dangerous mind can deploy, because what comes next is the law that separates the disciplined from the desperate. The law the financially powerful already know and will never explain to you. Pay attention. Law 1. Fast money is psychological weakness. Let that settle before you argue with it. Every culture on earth romanticizes the come up, the overnight success. The crypto millionaire who turned $400 into $4 million. The entrepreneur who sold at 29 for 9 figures. These stories are told in headlines, shared in group chats, and they do enormous damage to every mind that absorbs them without the psychological equipment to filter them correctly. Here is what those stories never tell you. For every person who made a fast fortune, there are 40,000 who tried the same strategy and vanished into financial silence. The man who made 300,000 in 6 weeks and then lost 400,000 6 months later was not unlucky. He was unequipped. The money arrived. The psychology had not been built to hold it. Fast money does not make you rich. Fast money reveals whether you were already rich in the only way that matters. The dangerous psychology of wealth is not about the moment of acquisition. It is about the architecture of mind that determines what happens after the money arrives. Ask yourself honestly, if $10 million landed in your account tomorrow, where would it be in 3 years? If you feel even a flicker of uncertainty when you answer that question, you are not yet a dangerous mind. You are a mind that has not been built for the weight of real wealth. That is not an insult. That is the diagnosis, and diagnosis is the beginning of transformation. The weak mind chases fast money because fast money feels like proof. Proof you are smart. Proof you are winning. It is a dopamine architecture. The same neurological pattern that keeps people refreshing social media also keeps them chasing fast returns. They need the validation hit. They confuse velocity with progress. They chase speed because speed feels like power. But speed without control is not power. Speed without control is recklessness wearing a success costume. The genuinely dangerous mind has broken this addiction. It does not need proof that it is winning, because it already knows the architecture it has built will produce the outcome eventually. There is no urgency, because urgency implies doubt, and the dangerous mind has engineered its doubt out of the equation. Reject fast money as a psychological category, not because fast money cannot happen, but because the hunger for it signals that your mind has not yet developed the patience infrastructure that real wealth demands. The man who needs money fast will always make desperate choices. The man who has built a mind for slow compounding moves with the calm of someone who already knows how the story ends. Slow money is dangerous money, the kind that multiplies when you are not watching and defends itself when the market turns violent. But this is where weak minds always collapse, right at the intersection of discipline and desire, because desire does not wait for systems to complete. And this is why the second law is non-negotiable. Law 2. Wealth is built through systems. The weak mind thinks about money. The dangerous mind builds machines. There is a fundamental difference between being focused on money and building systems that produce it. Most people spend enormous cognitive energy on money itself, how to earn it faster, how to protect it better. They are obsessed with the object, and that obsession keeps them in a permanent relationship with scarcity. Because the moment you are focused on what you lack, you are operating from a psychology of lack. The dangerous mind is not focused on money. It is focused on systems, structures that produce output, regardless of whether the dangerous mind is paying attention at any given moment. Consider two men. The first works 16 hours a day, relentless, disciplined, sacrificing weekends and sleep. He earns $200,000 a year. The second man works 4 hours a day on average. He seems almost unhurried. He earns $3 million a year. The second man is not smarter, not luckier. He has simply built systems, and the first man has not yet understood that the goal was never to work harder. The goal was always to build better machines. Systems thinking requires a specific psychological patience most people never develop. To build a system, you have to invest before you profit. In the early stages, a system often looks like failure. It looks like the people chasing fast money are beating you, and the mind without long-term architectural vision will abandon the system at precisely the moment it was about to activate. A man builds an audience for 18 months. He creates, he publishes, he educates. He earns almost nothing for the first year. Then month 19 arrives. He releases a product to 40,000 people who trust him. He makes $600,000 in 10 days. He did not get lucky. He built a system, and the system delivered exactly what system architecture always delivers when given sufficient time and proper construction. Build the machine. Maintain the machine. Let the machine work while you are building the next machine. This is the architecture of compounding power. Law 3. Discipline controls desire, not manages it, not balances it, controls it. There is a softness in the way most people talk about discipline. They frame it as morning routines and good habits. And while those things are not wrong, they are incomplete. They describe surface behavior without confronting the underlying psychological war. Discipline is not a habit. Discipline is a dominance relationship between your long-term vision and your short-term nervous system. And your nervous system is extraordinarily sophisticated. It has been optimized by evolution to want things now. Delayed gratification is a learned override, a psychological skill built against the natural direction of your neurology. This is why most people fail at financial discipline. They rely on willpower, which is a finite resource. Every time they drain their willpower making small decisions, there is less available when the genuinely dangerous temptation arrives. The dangerous mind does not rely on willpower. The dangerous mind pre-decides. Pre-decision is one of the most underrated power tools in wealth psychology. The dangerous mind makes its financial rules in cold, calm, strategic clarity, and commits to those rules as if they were physical laws, not guidelines, laws. Because when temptation arrives, and it always arrives, there is no decision to make. The decision has already been made. The dangerous mind simply executes the pre-existing law, rather than engaging in a real-time psychological battle that willpower-dependent people always eventually lose. The weak mind sets a savings goal and checks in monthly to see if it hit the target. Some months it does. Some months desire wins. The dangerous mind automates the savings to move the same day income arrives, before desire has any opportunity to engage with the money at all. The discipline is structural. The money is allocated before the nervous system can object. This is not a small distinction. This is the architectural difference between someone who will retire wealthy and someone who will retire exactly as financially vulnerable as they are today. Here is the dangerous truth no one teaches. Compounding is not a math concept. Compounding is a psychological test. The math is simple. Everyone understands the math, but almost no one succeeds with compounding. Because succeeding requires you to leave money alone for periods that feel psychologically unbearable to the average mind. Compounding rewards inaction. It rewards patience, and inaction is one of the hardest things a human mind can sustain in a world screaming at you to do something. The dangerous mind has passed this test, not perfectly, not without difficulty, but it has built enough psychological infrastructure around its investments that the default behavior is non-interference. Let it compound. Let time do the violent work of wealth multiplication. Step away and build something else while the machine runs. Law 4. Silence creates power. This one is darker than the others. There is a specific kind of man who announces every move he makes. He posts about the investment before it pays off. He tells people about the business before it is built. He shares the vision before the execution has begun. He is performing the journey because performing gives him the social validation hit his psychology requires to feel like it is making progress, and his actual wealth is nowhere near where his announcements suggested it would be. Here is the psychological mechanism. When a human mind shares a goal socially, the brain receives a preview of the social reward associated with achieving that goal. The validation responses give the mind a partial payment on the satisfaction of actually succeeding. Once the mind has received partial payment, the urgency to complete the work decreases. The hunger is partially satisfied. The discipline that would have been channeled into execution has been partially dissolved by the performance of intent. This is why the most financially dangerous individuals you will ever encounter are often the ones you know the least about. They are not mysterious for aesthetic reasons. They are silent because silence is a financial strategy. Every move that goes unannounced is a move that cannot be undermined. Every plan that stays internal stays intact. Every vision that remains unperformed until completion retains its psychological momentum through the full arc of execution. The dangerous mind has one rule: share results, never share plans. Results cannot be destroyed by skepticism or competitive interference. Plans can be. Silence also creates a power dynamic with direct financial implications. The man who speaks constantly about what he is building signals a psychological dependency on external validation. People who sense this dependency will use it against him. In negotiations, in partnerships, in every high-stakes financial conversation, the man who is silent about his moves is perceived as someone who operates from self-contained sufficiency. He is not performing, he simply executes. And when execution is complete, the results carry a weight and authority that no announcement could have generated. Move silently. Build relentlessly. Let your results be the only announcement your dangerous mind ever makes. This next law changes everything, because everything before this moment was about controlling yourself. What comes next is about controlling time. Law 5. Rich forever means thinking in decades, not years, decades. Everyone agrees with this in theory. Everyone nods at the compound interest tables, and almost no one actually operates on this timeline, because thinking in decades requires a specific act of psychological violence against the part of your mind governed by the present moment. To think in decades, you have to make peace with the fact that you will not feel the results of your best decisions for a very long time. You have to execute brilliantly, and then wait in calm certainty for 10 or 20 years, while the world demands immediate proof that you are winning. You have to become comfortable looking ordinary in the short term, to become extraordinary in the long term. Every decision the dangerous mind makes is evaluated against one question most people never ask. What does this look like in 20 years? Not next quarter, not next year. 20 years? When you apply that question consistently, it eliminates a staggering percentage of decisions that would otherwise seem attractive. The flashy car that accelerates your status today costs you compound years in the future. The lifestyle inflation that tracks income gains keeps the gap between income and wealth from ever closing. The 20-year question is not about deprivation. It is about a clear-eyed understanding that what feels like sacrifice today looks like power in a decade, and dynasty in 2. Long-term thinking is also a power positioning tool in every human interaction you will ever have. The person who thinks in decades is not threatened by short-term losses. They are not manipulable through urgency. They cannot be stampeded by manufactured scarcity or artificial deadlines. Apply time pressure to a decade thinker and they simply wait. And waiting for a decade thinker is a completely comfortable position. The limited time offer, the exclusive deal closing tomorrow, the window that will not reopen. These are psychological weapons designed for minds addicted to urgency. They have no power over a mind that has genuinely internalized the long timeline. The dangerous mind recognizes fake deadlines as signals of manipulation, not signals of value. This patience radiates into every negotiation. People feel the difference between a mind that needs a deal and a mind that is simply evaluating whether a deal serves the architecture. The power differential between those two positions is staggering. Think in decades, move in silence, build systems, control desire, reject fast money as a psychological category. This is not a collection of tips. This is an integrated psychological operating system for a mind that has decided to become permanently dangerous in a world of permanently temporary thinking. Now here is what no one tells you about transformation. Understanding these laws intellectually is not transformation. Transformation is what happens when these laws have been applied long enough that the behavior becomes so automatic it no longer feels like discipline. It feels like character. And the difference between discipline and character is the difference between a man fighting his nature and a man who has rebuilt his nature from the inside out. The dangerous mind does not struggle to think long-term. It cannot think any other way. The reason most people will never build this kind of wealth is not external, it is internal. It is not a lack of knowledge. It is a lack of psychological willingness to become genuinely different from the people around you. Because building this mindset will make you different. Your timeline will be longer, your spending more restrained, your ambitions quieter and more precise. You will pass on opportunities that excite the people around you. You will hold positions they would have abandoned. You will build things that will not pay off within any time frame they can comprehend, and they will not always understand. Let them. The dangerous mind is not built for the comprehension of the ordinary mind. It is built for outcomes the ordinary mind cannot yet see, and when those outcomes arrive, no explanation will be necessary. Build for the version of yourself that exists in 20 years. That version is evaluating every decision you make today for its contribution to the architecture. That version either inherits a dynasty built by a dangerous mind or inherits the wreckage of a mind that kept choosing now over forever. The choice is available in this exact moment, not tomorrow. Right now, in the psychological architecture of the next decision you make about money, about time, about patience, about silence. Getting rich is not the goal. Getting rich forever is the goal, and forever wealth is not a financial achievement. It is a psychological state, the permanent installation of a decision-making architecture so precise, so disciplined, and so long-sighted that wealth is not a destination you arrive at. It is a condition you embody. The market cannot take that from you. A recession cannot take that from you. A bad year cannot take that from you. Because the dangerous money mindset is not a balance sheet. It is not a portfolio. It is not a number in an account. It is the operating system of a mind that has decided at a fundamental and irreversible level to build on a timeline that ordinary desire cannot reach. Money obeys discipline. Power rewards patience. Forever wealth belongs to dangerous minds. The question is never whether the opportunity exists. The question is whether you have built the mind to hold it when it arrives. Build the mind, the rest follows.